let's go back to 1975. Where did your family live at the time that the war ended?
Well, at that time, my family, we were in the south of Vietnam, okay, and I was born in Bạc Liêu, and also my family stay in Cà Mau, what is the extreme part, the extreme south of Vietnam, the nose, the cap of Cà Mau. We was at that region when it happened, and I remember as it were yesterday, the April 30th, when we heard the President Minh, he make a statement at the television, then to call to all the army, the Republic of Vietnam to surrender unconditionally to the communists. And yes, very sad day and very chaotic at that day. Yeah.
But can you describe the scene?
The scene, is because at that time, we live in Cà Mau and we live in the barrack, of the police, because at that time, my father worked in the police force. And I remember, on the soldier, on the policeman, we were ready to fight. And at that time, I was 7 years old. And I still can see, on the soldier, they run around and, they just stood, in their post, in their position, completely armed. And I remember, they say, we are ready to fight to death. And they are ready to do it, and for the last 3 or 4 days, they are, in alert, highest alert. And, and then it happened, when the President Minh called out, and first, they just didn't know what to do. But at that time, my father is one of the commander, and he said, "Oh, now, okay, we have the order from the commander-in-chief, so we have to comply with that, And so, then we let all the soldiers now go home, go back to your home, and then and change your clothes. I mean, wear civil clothes so that you won't be caught by the communists, and go back to your family as all you can, And but it was sad, in the street, people are still, we just don't know what happened, people around, some people try to get some gun, they go to the gun store, and they want to exchange money for gun because people don't know what happened next. And we're just waiting, and at that time, we just told each other, okay, it's just a change of regime, we don't think that they're going to kill all of us, because we still, we trust them, we are all Vietnamese, maybe, it's a change of regime as it was in the history, and so, as it happened in history, we are, we just lie, we just stand there, and see the event unfold by itself, and we just, hope to God, and then to the haven, and that's it, and just wait and see. But a lot of resignation, nothing more can do. But I still remember it in that morning, the soldier in Vietnam, the Vietnamese soldier, we are ready to fight. We were ready to fight to death, and yeah. But with the order comes, so we just comply to order. Very drastically, I think is one of the defining moments in my life and in the life of many South Vietnamese. From that time, my family were completely destroyed, and we will never be the same again, And my father at that time, he worked for the force, the police force of the Republic of Vietnam. And then after the communist came, he was there at his post. He could flee, at some general or some, some people in the high office, we have the chance to flee to the U.S., float, U.S. boat. They're waiting for us. I have a friend in Navy, Vietnamese, and they come to see us 1 or 2 weeks before and ask us to live with them. But my father and my family want to stay there, to stick to our post and to fight until and accomplish his duty. After the communists come in, he transferred the power to the communists, and then he left. And then we fled to Saigon and stay there and, try to hide from the communists. But when the communists come in after a couple of weeks, they begin, to tell, all the soldiers from the Republic of Vietnam Army, to present themselves, from, the lowest rank to the highest rank. And they told us, okay, you just present yourself, and it takes only 2 weeks, for the, the low rank, and just go to a re-education, course, to explain, about the politics of the new government and the generosity and the, the pardon from the communist government. So for the lowest rank, it happened is after 2 weeks they come back, and then they ask for the high ranking, just come out and present you to us, and take only 1 month, and after that you will be home again, reunite with your family. And at that time, my uncles, father, and a lot of member of families, we believe in the communists. We believe, okay, oh yeah, okay, they are, they are on Vietnamese, and we united. So okay, we present ourselves, and then for after a month we will come back. But what has not happened at all, and my uncle, my father present, and they took him, and they never come back, and my father never come back at all. And he was shot during his re-education camp because he's the high-ranking officer. My uncle, he spent, almost 12 years, in the re-education camp before he come back. We were dubbed by the communist government. And then after that, me with my sister, young sister, we went to school, and we were, ostracized by the direction, by the school, because we have father, we have family working for the own government. So for that, we are. We have to achieve the higher mark, to get to the higher level of education, contrary to the a student who his father worked for the communist government, so he doesn't have to perform anything, and he could get to a higher level, even get to stand to the Soviet Union or the communist country to study there, So very, very hard for us. And also the economy at that time, there's that we call the new economic zone, the vùng kinh tế mới. And at that time, the communist government want to lure on the people, go to the campaign, go to the rural region to stay there and to work there. And they try, to sell that to the South Vietnamese people and who don't know much. At that time, luckily, my mom didn't fall into that trap, so we used to stay in Saigon. It was very, very hard. At that time, the economic, we don't have much to it. We were on the embargo by the U.S. government and the war. We don't even have enough rice to eat, and we have to change, for the barley. We have to change for the, some kind of, of flour spaghetti, to. And at that time, the inflation is skyrocketing. I remember at that time, 1 kilogram of rice is worth 50 dong, the new dong of the Ho Chi Minh, because when they come in, they change the money. So at first they changed 500 dong of the own government for 1 dong, and they did it 3 times. During my time, they did it 2 times without any advertising. They say, okay, from tomorrow we wake up and we say, oh, bring all your money to the bank, and all the monies are no longer valid. You have to change, and they give us only a very small amount. And very, very difficult time, and we have to barely survive. And there's no future for us at all, for future for me as a teenager with a history, of they conduct, a bad history, a bad degree because of our family, of our father, uncle work for the government. So that is the main reason why we have to flee. Because if we want to have a future, we want to survive, we have to flee the country. Very, very difficult, and my life actually is completely shattered, family completely destroyed. I mean, and we just live day by day, and we just don't know what happened tomorrow. What the communist government will do next? Are they going to make a new law, or or make a new policy, And very, very frightened. And I have friends, family friends, and in the middle of the night, the police will come, knock at their door, and take them away, and we don't know what happened to them anymore. Very frightened.
How big was your family at that time?
How
big was your
family? How big at that time? It's, my parents, me, and my sister. So we are 4, but we also have extended family, because the Vietnamese people have extended family. My uncle, my aunt, also my grandmom. We quite a lot. We have quite extended family, but for my immediate family, we are 4. But my father was taken away. So.
Did your mom have a job at that time?
Not really, because my mom, before she married my father, she run a gun store. I mean, we have my grandmother, my grandmother, we have a gun store in Bạc Liêu, and my mother, she's a businesswoman. And after the communists invade the South, so my mom had to open a small store like many other, and we sell kind of grocery, we sell everything. We sell ice, we sell juice, we sell on the little thing, cigarette and everything, and at that time, I have my mom, and we have a small percentage we sell, to survive. Yeah. But at the time, very difficult to find a job, because on demand, when you go outside, you see no man. They are on, they all went to prison. What we saw at that time, during the after 75. Children, women, elderly people, and some handicapped people, but young men, young adults. Very, very few. They on because they on capture and were kept in the that's what they call the re-education camp, but it's a prison, concentration camp.
And you were in Saigon at this time?
Yeah, Saigon at the time.
Were you on your own? Your family was in Bạc Liêu?
Yeah, in our own, because we fled, because we are so recognized. I mean, we are no people in Bạc Liêu and Cà Mau. So for our security, we have to fled to Saigon, to be in the big city and to have the anonymity, the more anonym, it's a big city. So it's very easy for us to hide and and to how I say to find ourselves into the mass, and then avoid the scrutiny of the communist government at that time, But
and how did you find accommodation Saigon?
Yeah, Saigon at that time, because when we got there, so my mom she used the money that we earned and buy a house, and we bought a house, with a very very high price, at the last minute. So we bought a house, and then we survived, and we bought a quite small house, and very luckily that we bought a small house, because if we bought a bigger house, it could be confiscated and gave to the soldier from the north. And once at least, and I remember at least two occasions. I remember I was there, because I kept the grocery store, and then I remember once there's three soldier, bộ đội what called the bộ đội and công an and the policeman, and they came to the house and they look at the house, and they look at me, and then they say between them, oh, this house is too small, so it's not enough for us, so we look at another house. Because if we bought a big house, maybe they slowly will go, okay, we need your house, or maybe you should share only one floor, and the rest you have to give to us. So yeah, it's very difficult at that time. As I say, we just don't know what happened next. They could come in, confiscate our house, or they could knock at the door during the night and, hey, come with us, and then don't know what happened after.
And by this time, were you already aware of your father's fate, or was it?
Not really. I mean, because at that time, my father, he was brought back to Cà where he was the commander of police force at that time, and then the secret police of the communists, they came to see my mom, say, oh, you should go back there and to see your husband, But my mom, she was scared because we cannot trust these guys, they could set a trap, and if my mom she went there, they could catch her also, because in Saigon, we are in under jurisdiction, and in Cà Mau it's another jurisdiction, So they tried to lure my family to Cà Mau. So my mom, she was very frightened, so she did one, but for once, she told us that she had to leave me and my sister at home, Saigon, alone with my grandmom, and she had to risk her life, only her alone, to go to see my father. But we did let her go, because we cry, me and my sister, we cry a lot, if you left us here, you leave us here, and if you go there and you could be captured and you could be killed also, so who take care of us, So we cry a lot, and I remember that at one time, and my mom, sorry about that. She left the house. And my sister, we ran after her, and we took her hand. You have stayed with us. Then, yeah, that's it.
So to continue, I think I was asking if whether or not you already had news of what happened to your father by this time.
We we had rumor, because some friends, some old friends of in Baleo Kamau, they come to say us, okay, we have a rumor that my father could be executed, with the two all the members. And at that time, my mom, she tried, to contact, because one of our relatives, he has a family member, high ranking in the communist government. And I remember, almost once or twice a week, my father and I and my sister, we came to her house and try to deal with her. And I remember my mom say, okay, if you can talk with your family member who high ranking in the Communist Party to grant back down, or at least to give my father a chance to leave, and to let him leave, and let him a chance to come out, and we just bought a house, very expensive. So we ready to give you the house. That's the price we give, And if you need more gun, you need more, we are ready to pay you gun, pay you on the money, to exchange for the life of my father. And we tried to invent many times, I don't know, but it simply doesn't succeed because that the lady, I don't know if she has tried or if she has talked to a member, but we didn't have a new at all. And then I just remember that day, and me and my sister, we were on the second floor of the house. And then I saw my mom. She come up. And then she just run out on. She ran out and she lay on her bed, and she cried. And I remember she just put her two hands like that, and she cried. And she cried for maybe 1 hour. My sister and I, my sister and I, we just stand by, we just stood by there. She could not speak and anything. I just looked at my sister, and we knew it, and we knew it. And my sister, she's younger than me, and she said to me, I think our father is dead. That's it. And then after that, when my mom, when she stopped crying, and she just took me and my sister in her arm, and she told us, your dad is dead. I remember it's in September. It's just around I think the birthday of Ho Chi Minh, so they want to celebrate that, by execute some member, and my father was one of the three, high-ranking officer in the Republic of Vietnam, and they executed in Cà Mau. And later that day, some friend, some good friend from Kamau, they took the bus overnight, and they came to see us, to tell us, the bad news. Yeah, that was it, and it was very, very sad, because in Vietnam we give big, very important, to the dead people, and we have to celebrate, and for 40 days after the death, we have to celebrate people, and we have to wear, the white turban, and we have to pluck, tissue here, to signal that we have dead member. But we could not even do that, because if we say that, we said, because my father, he works for the government of Republic. If we see that, we could be harassed, and we could be, retaliated by, the school board, or even, the police force, of our, our sector, So we have to keep secret. We cry every day, but we have to keep secret, and but my mom told us we have to to wear something. We have to grieve our father. So my mom, she put a white turban in her head, and when we went to school, we put a black tissue here, and when friends or neighbor ask us, hey, who died in your family, and we have to lie, it's our grandfather. So we cannot say that it's our father. Very sad at that time, and yeah, and that's it, and we have to live with that, and because we have to hide that, because if we say that, it could have a very negative impact in our life, and even in our school, and yeah, that's the life after the communists, it's very sad, because the communist movement, when they invade and after the victory, they have a very good chance, to reconcile with the people. It's a very good time, if they have more generosity and they have more compassion, and if they treat, people, like real compatriots, we were ready to collaborate, we were ready to accept the regime, we were ready to work together. But what we saw at that time is a very brutal retaliation, very vicious, politic, to repress the South Vietnamese people. They try to. I witnessed, the police, the secret police. They in the morning they just get in, a store, and they confiscate all the good on the store, on the gun from family, Family, they lost everything, and so they confiscate good and they put them to the new economic zone. It's kind of bandit. They are not government. They are bandit. They are stealer. They are murderer. And and now, when I look at now, they try to reconciliate, it's just hypocrisy, and it's just a fake, politic, I agree, when we were in war, we killed each other, but we were at war, so it's normal, But after the war finished, and you win the war, you have to pass another calculate. You have to think to reconcile the country, because we each have our ideal. The South Vietnamese, we have our ideal to fight for, and they have their ideal. But after the war is over, it's not time for retaliation. Even when they talk to the people. We are generous government. We try to reconcile. And we don't look for any kind of retribution or retaliation at all, on our Vietnamese, etc. just just nice word, just propaganda. But in reality, it's very vicious retaliation, and the world need to know that, and the next generation need to know that. And this is a very dark chapter of history in Vietnamese history, very dark chapter. And
how old were you at this time?
I was 9 years at that time,
When did your family decide to leave?
Pardon?
When did your family decide to leave?
Oh, we decided to leave, soon after. But at that time, we have so after that we have to survive, and my mom, she was very sad, we were devastated, after the death of our father. And a lot of friends for my mom, because she when in Bali, at the time she has a lot of friends, even the own, we conduct the boyfriend người tình before, she married my husband, they come up, and consolate her. And one years later, my mom, she met, a man, and he's also an officer in Vietnamese army. Just get out from education camp, and then because at that time he was a doctor in the army, so he just spent only one or 2 years in the education camp because he's doctor in the army. So and after that, when my mom met him, and she remarried a second time with the with now is my stepfather. And then after that, we have, I have a stepbrother. My mom has a boy with a son with my stepfather. And then at the time we try to flee because my stepfather he works for after he come back from the concentration camp. He worked for the hospital, one hospital in Saigon. But at that time, the communist government, they invade Cambodia, okay, and they need doctor to bring with them to Cambodia to take care of the army. So they asked my stepfather to, hey, you have to go to Cambodia with us because we need with you. So he had to resign from his position, and then we have to look a way to flee. And we try many times. We try at before from 75 to 80. It's were illegal to flee, and we have to do it very in secret. And at the risk of our own life, if we get caught, we could be shot or we could be put in jail. And we tried that at least for 3 times, and we try to, to look for someone who organized, in a trip, a boat trip. But it didn't work out, even before it started, it was uncovered by the police, so we have to flee. I remember we went to Phan Rang, we went to Vũng Tàu, we went to many places and tried to flee, but we at just a couple of hours before boarding the boat, we have to fly to flee because the police they discovered that, I remember sometime we were in Phan Rang and we have to catch us, but at 2 o'clock in the morning, to come back to Saigon, because so we tried many times. And in the 79, in the beginning of 79, during that time, what happened is there was a war between China and Vietnam. In the beginning, 40 years ago, around exactly at this period of time. So there was a war with the Chinese, and so the communist government in Vietnam, they want to get rid of on the Chinese descent in Vietnam, on the Chinese people in Hue in Vietnam. So they give, okay, we want to get you out, you know. If you want, we give you both, and then you can get out of Vietnam wherever you go. We just don't care, you know. We just want you out because we don't want you stay here and to be a spy or you know, to be a secret police for the Chinese government. So then we have a movement, you know, that guy of let the Chinese go. So and the communist government, they want to make money with that. So they told the Chinese people, okay, if you want to get out, give us a gun, we let you out. And also with that, because a lot of Vietnamese people they want to flee on, so they want to get out. So so the communists, okay, no problem. You want to get out, give us gun, and then we change your name. We change your name, you know, to a Chinese name, and then we put you on the boat, and that's it. And we let you go, and we will escort you, you know, to the, you know, from the bar to the and in the river, and then you get to the high sea. You're on your own. So that's so we try that because we have tried many times, you know, it didn't work. So they asked what the communist government, what they asked is for an add-on is 10 I mean it's more hours. Vietnamese 1 loan is maybe even 2 hours, something like that. So for one adult is almost 20 hours gone, pure gone, and for children, you know, it's half. So we take let's say 15 and 20 hours for one adult and 7 to 10 hours of gone for one child, you know. So yeah, so I remember, you know, they came, you know, one day, you know, two men, you know, they came to our home, you know, and then my mom just handled the gun, you know, to them, and they count and then take. And I said, okay, just wait here when the boat, when we have the day of the depart, we will come to let you know. So that's it. And so I remember it's the June 15, 1979. I just finished school, you know, I just finished because the school is just finished. And it's around 6 p.m., you know, in the evening. And I just come back from the restaurant because at that time, my parents asked me to go to restaurant and buy some food, you know, and then come back, you know, to share with the family. And I just brought back, you know, the food and then put on the floor because now we eat on the floor. And then one man came to say to us, you have to leave now because at 4 o'clock in the morning, the boat, LA 9127, was going to leave. So we were got off guard, you know, it's too close. And I remember, you know, my parents, you know, and us, you know, we try to pack and everything we can. And my mom, you know, she tried to pack on the gold, you know, on the jewel, on the, you know, precious metal, and then put, you know, and put on us, you know. And also at that time, you know, as like many Vietnamese people, you know, my mom, she put gold, you know, gold chain, you know, around the waist, you know, in our pants, you know. So we wear with the gold chain inside, and also we have a small vest. We put gold inside so we can wear and then leave the house. And we have to, it's very fast, we have to go to see our grandparents to say goodbye very fast. We have to leave now because the boat wasn't to leave at 4 o'clock in the morning. And we have to hire a taxi, you know, at, I mean, it's 10 o'clock p.m., 10 p.m. into the night in Saigon. And we have to go to Long An. Long An is something, it's around 7 or 8 kilometers from Saigon. And I remember yesterday, you know, and my parents, me, my sister, you know, and then my mom carry 9 months old son with her, and then so we leave. So we left, and then on the trip, to Long An, and when we arrived, we didn't even know where to land it, and then we just asked the taximan, okay, just when he arrived to Long An, and we asked him to go to a small street, in a small village near Long An, and we asked, okay, you can, dispose, we can take out on the luggage, and and we put on the street, in the middle of the night. And then, my stepfather, he went to see the house, around, and knocked to the door and talked to people, the lady, and tell them that we are going to leave the country, and we look for a boat, but we just don't know where's the boat, and we get happy, the people in South Vietnamese, especially in the Delta Mekong, they are very, generous people, and very kind people, and then I remember one lady there, and she wake up, she let us in, in her house, and then so that we can rest, and she with my stepfather, they went out to look for the boat, and they went out for all the night, and they come back, around 2 o'clock in the morning, and say, oh, we find the boat, and but it's not 4 o'clock, it's 4 o'clock p.m., 4 o'clock in the afternoon, because the man who came to say it, he mistakenly, he mistakenly understood that it's 4 a.m. instead of 4 p.m. So yeah, we can stay there, and in the morning, we went to the port, the destination, and there's 100 of people waiting there, wait for the boat, and that's it. And then we just wait, for boarding, and we wait for the policeman and secret police to call our name, and so we wait, and then they begin to board. And one very mysterious and strange thing, because my brother, my young brother, 9 months old, he was very calm, very gentle, very easy, never cry, but just before boarding, he began to cry like I never seen before. And he not only cry, I can see the desperation in his eye, and he cried so much that, he sweat big like this. Call now. I never seen he cry like that. And he cried, for half hour. And even the other people, they were stunned. They were astonished how the baby, the 9-month boy, why he cried so desperate, And I remember, because my mom, when I was young, he always tell me, when you go a place and if you see a baby and cry so desperately, you have to get out because maybe something's wrong, something wrong. And I remember what happened. If my brother cried like this, maybe he feels something wrong. But we have to go. We decide to walk anyway. And when we walk, my brother stopped crying, and then he never cried again. And I think I had never saw him again. And when we bought the boat, and that our adventure began. We bought the boat, and it's around we don't have the exact number, but between 220 and 260 people board the boat. LA 9127 is only 18 meters long and 6.5 meters large, and they put more than 300 people into the boat, and we just like sardine, just like sardine, just like fish, and there's 3 decks, the lower deck, the middle deck, and the higher deck. And because we have children, we have small children, because of my brother, so they let us to stay in the second deck. Those who don't have children or young men, they have to go to the lower deck. Yeah, and that our adventure began, you know, and just after the dawn, after the dawn, we begin to move, and then we were escorted by the police force and the of the communists. You know, they escort through the river, the Hậu Giang. What is the name of the river, the Mekong River? We don't have captain at all. I mean, when the communist government, you know, when they take on the goal they want, and they just dump the people, you know, and and the boat, the LA 9127, we did have a captain, only a fisherman, you know, it's a fisherman, and the person who tried the boat is not the captain at all. He's just a fisherman, you know, and his job is to bring the boat out and fish and then come back. He never take a trip, you know, farther than that. And he didn't even know how to use a car or how to use, you know, compass and how to define a road. So I mean, after we left the river, the Mekong River, and then we begin our journey on the high sea. Then the trouble began. Okay, we plan to go to Malaysia. So they chart a course. They trace a route, you know, for Malaysia. But also we will have a bad weather. I mean, a big storm. I mean, at that time we conduct the level 10 or 11. Very big storm. So what they told us after that, when our boat is at the height of the Camau, the Cap of Camau, so they have a big storm, and then they lose on their road, on their trace, and then they just didn't know where they were, where they going at all, where they were going at all. And for the next, 3 days, you know, we just battle the storm, and we just want to survive. And I remember one night, you know, there was a big storm, you know, and I look outside, I see the wave is so high. The wave, I mean, it's 3 times higher than our boat, and sometimes it go like this, rock like this, you know. And I remember, you know, everybody on the boat thought that we were going to die. And I remember even at that time, you know, my stepfather, and say to us, okay, on the family, we're going to sit together, and if we're going to die tonight, our son, we will fly back to our home in Vietnam, our house, and we stay there. So we prepare to die. But luckily, you know, we passed in the morning, storm, you know, calmed down, and we're still alive. But you know, after 4 days, 5 days on the high sea, we begin to lack water, to lack of food, and there's only 2 small children die on our boat, and then we have to throw them, you know, to the sea, because we cannot let, you know, dead people on our boat. And after 6 days, we were desperate, and I remember at that time all we want is to go back to the shore. We don't care if Vietnam or any place. The only thing we want to see is land. There's no land. We look around, and the problem is that even the pilot, he didn't even know where to go and how to get to the land. So we are lost on the sea, and we look, and we are completely lost, desperate, and you know, and very frightened. And we have no more food, no more water. If we had to go 1 or 2 more days, we were going to die, because we die of starvation. But I remember that night, you know, that night is in the night of June 23rd, and it's, you know, it's around 4 or 5 a.m. It's still dark. It was still dark, on the high sea, and then from my deck I can see, the line, because the line, a big line, a big far, and I see from far, and then a boat come to our rescues, and then they give us that, and they say you can follow us, and then we just follow that boat, and I remember very well in the morning around 7 a.m., 7 or 8 p.m., and I climbed outside to take some fresh air, and then I saw, the natural tool, the big boat, the natural tool. That if you look at the TV report, you see the boat. It's a trolling boat. It's from the European country, mostly from Germany and Holland, and also a lot of many other countries like Norway, like Finland. They also have people work on board, and they were looking for oil in Vietnam. So the boat, the supply boat, that it led us to the big boat, the boat. And then when we came next to the train station, we stand there. We just station there.
This is an oil rig?
Yeah, the oil ring, the oil boat. It's not an oil ring. It's a boat who was there to explore if there's any oil, and when if they find oil, and then they will build a permanent station. Yeah, so they so it's there, and then people from the trolling boat, the natural boat, and they appear and they ask us, did you come from Vietnam country? Yes, yes, and we have to, because we have to speak, and we don't have any communication, so the only thing we try to speak them, but in high sea, so it's not it wasn't easy, so we have to write on a piece of paper, and then we throw to the ball, and then they do the same thing. They write them and they throw back to us, and we explain to them that we were already 7 days on the high sea. We have no more food, no more water. We have 2 children already dead, and maybe another elderly people who would be dead soon. And our pilot is not, he doesn't know where to go. He has no training at all, and we just get lost, and now on we ask you if you can call, the Navy or the Vietnamese government, to come here and then bring us back to the land, even to the land, or or if you can bring us up to your boat, I would be grateful, but we won't leave here. And they answer, okay, no problem, but we can give you food, we can give you the water, we can give you all you need, and we will show you the direction. Whatever you want, we will show you the direction, and you can go there. But we say, oh, we don't trust our pilot anymore. Okay, we don't trust anymore, so we want to stay here, either waiting for the government, for communist government to come to pick us up, bring us back to Vietnam, or you let us in. So they say, okay, we will to contact, the Vietnamese government, because what happened is that we were still in the water of Vietnam. We were not in the international water, so it's still in the jurisdiction of Vietnam. And on that boat, there's a lot of Vietnamese people, worker, and also the police and the policemen, the secret agent, of the Vietnamese. They work with those country, the European country, to watch them, and to make sure that everything's okay. Because just remember, at that time, the Vietnamese, the communist government, Vietnam, was still under the embargo of the U.S. and on the Western country, so it was forbidden to deal or to collaborate with the communist government. So it was not legal, for the European country to have, to send a trail boat and work to collaborate with the Vietnamese government. So they want to keep it secret also. And so I said, okay, we call that and just wait here. And maybe during the afternoon, they will send both from Vũng Tàu and maybe from the shore, because we are, not far from the Vietnamese shore. And then we wait until the afternoon, and during the meantime, the trailing boat, they give us, bread, they give us water, they give us some food, for us to eat, because for the people it's almost 7 days. Like we did anything. For myself, I didn't eat anything. I ate maybe in the first day, second day, but after that we on vomit because of the storm, of the seasick, and on that kind of stuff. So
during those 7 days that you were on shore, you somehow traveled down to
Cà Mau,
and then somehow drifted up.
Yeah,
to
up
Vũng Tàu.
Pha Rang, and
entire time.
yeah, Pha Rang, and when we asked them where we were, and they answered, oh, here you are in still Vietnamese, and still at the height of Pha Rang, Phan Thiết. Pha Rang, Phan Thiết, is almost in the middle of Vietnam. So we were lost, completely lost. Okay, so, and on that time we were still in the water of Vietnam, And then we waited until the afternoon, and nothing happened. And then for any reason, the captain of the boat, he decided to bring us in, to bring us to the boat. What I knew after that, because we didn't know at that time, but after when we were in Holland, and then captain come to visit us, he told us that he had to fight with the Vietnamese, on board, the communists, they didn't want them to take us in, and it's a very tense situation at that time, and even they already has a fight, a fist fight between, the European man and some, of the guy, the Vietnamese guy, and the captain said to the Vietnamese guy, hey, you must not, jeopardize our rescue. We want to rescue the people, and you must, in no case, try to prevent us to do that. And why they are fighting, negotiating, discussing, and they begin to load the people. They begin to to let us in. So they use ladder. The ladder. So they ladder, and also they use a crane, because they have the 3 cranes, and with a basket inside, so they begin to lower the basket with the crane, and then for people to get into the basket, and then bring up, and then put down again to bring more people. And they succeed to do it. They load one time, they load a second time, and when the third time when the basket lift up, and because at that time people, they everybody want to get on first, and people just fighting each other, and then. And also because we were on high sea, very, very windy. So the basket, when it come down, it did come down right, like this. It come down like, it just basculate one side to another because of the wind. So people try to catch that, and they move from one side to another. For the first two, okay, and the third basket just lift up because of that. So the boat capsized like this. They capsized completely. And luckily that time I was on the roof of the boat. I was the only family member on the roof of the boat. And it got us by surprise, and remember and then the boat just capsized and just tilt like this, and then it completely, and then in a matter of seconds, water is just going up like this, and I try, to grip on the roof, but I was scared because I was outside the boat, and very, very fast. I mean, I already see dead people around me. I mean, we are more than 300 people. I mean, they succeed to rescue maybe around 50, maybe 50 people with the 3 basket, and or the young people, they can swim, they go to there and they use the ladder to climb up. But for all the people who still caught in the lower deck, and my mom, my sister, and my brother, they were still in the second deck. I mean, my father, he was just he stood next to me around, maybe 5 meters, because it's in the front of the boat. But after that, I didn't see nobody at all. All I heard was crying, and and at that time, they begin to throw, life jacket, and the 2 supply boats from far, they drove in, very rapidly that they can, to try to save the people, but it was too late. And I remember, so I was escape. I have the life jacket from the boat, so I grab a couple of life jacket, and I look for my mom, my sister, my brother, and family member. But I didn't see none of them, And I love people of family, so I give them a couple of jacket because, and I remember, one lady with her baby inside, and they already dead, and they float just beside me, and just around me, just dead body. So I swam among dead body, and I look around me, a lot of people completely naked because of the wave. They battle, so they naked, and it was horrible. And at that time, I heard my sister. She cried to me. She say in Vietnamese, anh hai, anh vô đây cứu em, anh hai, anh vô đây cứu em. I heard her, but she was there. I cannot get in because I don't know where she was, because I get in, I will trap myself, and so I just told her, bé bà, that is the name, bơi ra đây để anh cứu. I mean, get out, try to get out from the window, and I wait you here. Just get out, go to the side, because there's a door in the back side. They say, go to the back side, try to go to the back side and get out of here. Because I still heard, and she cried like, anh hai, anh vô đây cứu em, anh hai, anh vô cứu em. And yeah, she, she cried for me for a couple of minutes, and very persistent. At first, she cried with desperation, and after a couple minutes, I heard she cry, and in her cry, and hi, no, but I swam on the surface, but I could not do anything, and I didn't even know if my mom she can survive, and my brother, no idea. And after a while, you know, I just saw my stepfather with my mom in one, and I don't know how she get out, but after that she told me that the Phật Quang Âm, you know, the you know, the Quang Âm, the Kunji Buddha, you know, stayed her. She was the only survived, the only one survived for the people who on the lower deck and the middle deck, the only one survived, and she managed to get through the window, the small window, and she said that Quang Âm told her how to get there. And you know, for now, she still remember every day, you know. And then my father ways, our son ways, and she say, I don't know. I don't know. And I heard my sister, but after, you know, after she listened and tried to get, you know, I just with my life jacket around, try to look around, try to get any sign of my sister. But I can't think, you know, after a while I did her, she cry anymore, and I think she's dead, trapped inside, you know, when it's very frightened, you know, because when I still, you know, for now, you know, even almost 40 years after, you know, some night, you know, I wake up in the night and I still heard her cry, you know. And hi, vô đây cứu em, and you know, I was powerless, you know. You hear that, you know, you can do nothing, and you just there and you wait for something, and then after that you don't hear anymore, and you hear your sister dying, you know, and that's it. And you look around me, you know, dead body, dead baby, dead woman, dead elderly people. Oh, and I remember, you know, the one baby from the arm of her mother. He just detached from the arm of her mother, and then he just, you know, sink slowly into the ocean. So, you know, it's terrible. And then, anyway, so very, very terrible, you know, and you know, you are marked for the rest of your life. And after that, you know, then the people from the supply boat, they had to rescue us. And I was one of the last people to get on board, because I was with life jacket. They have to rescue the people who was in it first. Some people are drowning, so they have to bring them first. And me and my my family was among the last. And I remember the supply boat come in, you know, and they throw us, you know, a kind of a bone, you know, so we can grab to the bone and the core, and then they bring, you know, and then they pick us, they grab us by that and by our hands, you know, and then. And I remember very well, you know, me, my father, my mother, we are three, you know, we are at the high sea, and we are at the end of the supply boat, and there's two doors, you know, two doors, so we are both sides of the boat. So we get there and we wait, you know, we try to grab something and get on the boat. And there was, you know, a Vietnamese guy with a Northeast accent, you know, who tried to grab in, you know, and he say, you cannot go through this door, you have to go to the other door, and then with his feet go to the other door. Incredible. I know how a compatriot, you know, we can treat other like this, and this guy, a communist guy, you know, how the hate in his attitude, you know, when he see people dying like this, and the thing that you should do is to rescue the people by any means you can, you know. It's not the time that you say, hey, you have to go to the other door to be rescued. You have the people dying there, and they are on, they were in the water. If you can pick them up, grab them, and, you know, bring them as fast as you can to the boat, you know. Hey, don't come here, don't come here. You go to the other door, and then he told us back to the sea. And then the guy, the European guy, when he saw that, he yelled at the guy. I know what he yelled because I did understand that, but sometimes he was not, he was angry, at the attitude of that guy. And then the European guy, he came and with his hand, he picked us up and he threw up to the supply boat. And then we come in, and then we come in, me, my mother, my father, and we cry and we look. And I remember I go there first, and I go to the to the inside of the boat and look at the sand to try to see if my sister was there. I see nothing, I see dead people, I see a lot, the boat is capsized, and after that, they transfer us from the supply boat to the big boat, and they put us on the helicopter. There's a place, for the helicopter to land it, and then they put everyone on the helipad, and then we count out death, and we count out who survived, and it's just, it's so heartbreaking, and I remember one lady, she cried, but she said, we are 10 and I am the only survivor, and she cried, and then, my mom cried, I cried, and yeah. So after that, they brought us to the lower deck of the TRAN boat, for us to rest. And after that, we all took a very, very long sleep, because for 7 days we were so tired, and we were so trained emotionally, physically, mentally, and I mean, if you look at the TV report, we can see there's a photo of people sleeping after that, and we just like dead body sleeping. We were so tired. And then 2 days after, so we begin, to recover from our misadventure, and then then begin the problem. The communist government, the Navy that we wait, when we was first, now they came and they get on the boat, and then they send 2 of their representatives come down and see us, and the 2 guys there come to say, and they say, oh, our government is generous, our government is we want to pardon you, we are on Vietnamese, so we just come back. The same tune that we heard, when they came in, and then lure on the official to the prison. But, we said to them, in front of them, we waited for you. You did come. Now, we were on board. Almost in every family, we have dead people. We lost our family member. We lost our relatives. We lost our son, our daughter, father, mother, sister, brother. Okay? Now, we won't go back to Vietnam. Either we go to for the freedom, liberty in the outside country, or you shoot us here, or we die here. But we will never go back to Vietnam. And we say to them, as we say to the board of the board, the European country representative, we say, okay, if even you let us go, to a free country, or you shoot us, but we will never return to Vietnam. And then begin the negotiation. What I learned after, when the Captain Phuc, the captain is the captain of the boat, what he told us is that for many days the communist government they want to take us back, you know, but the European they want to save us. So we stay on board for more than a week, you know, a week, and then they transfer to a supply boat, and they make a TRAN, you know, they made a fortune, you know, place, you know, with TRAN and with roof, you know, with artificial roof, you know, for us to stay there. And during that time they negotiate, and finally they arrive to a solution. Is that the Germany, you know, the Germany and the Dutch people on board, they had to spend 300,000 Dutch mark. 300,000 Dutch mark at that time in '79 to buy a new boat from Vietnam, a wooden boat, a fishing boat from Vietnam, and then they will transfer us to that boat, and then they will escort us outside the water of Vietnam to respect, you know, the law, you know, the law of the sea, you know. And so that okay, so we pay you, the government of Vietnam, 300,000 Dutch mark, you know, to buy a boat, and then we escort, you know, as they came to see us in the boat, and now we transfer to the boat, and they continue their voyage, their journey, and then after that after when they leave the water of Vietnam, international water. So we can bring them to Singapore, or we can bring them back to our boat, you know, and then we can let them go to Germany or Holland. So that's the agreement between the European community and the communist government of Vietnam. So they did exactly they bought a boat and from Vũng Tàu. And it has the matriculation VT999, Vũng Tàu 999. Okay, so they bought a good boat, you know. So then they begin to load, you know, with food, with on, you know, the equipment, and then they begin to load us into the boat VTT999. And then they escort us, you know, the two supply boat that save us, you know, they escort our boat, you know. So we leave during the night, and we travel through the night, and in the morning when you know the door after you know the morning and the daylight, and then what I saw, you know, from the deck of the boat, I saw 4 gunboats from the HQ5, something like HQ5, and I mean 4 gunboats. 2 is from police of the sea, and 2 is from the navy, very heavily gunboat. And they follow us. And then suddenly I begin to hear gunfire. And you know, from the gunboat from the HQ, they begin to fire with, you know, the gun machine. Very noisy, you know, and they fire and closely also, and it's, you know, if you don't know what happened, you know, it's very tense, and then they try to cut the 2 escort boats from us, and then suddenly I heard, pum, the 1 boat from the police of the sea. They just hit our boat, you know, hit our boat very harshly, and it destroy. I mean the lateral face, you know, of the boat, almost sinking us. Almost, if they hit harder, they could cut our boat in half. And then, you know, from the boat, the gunboat, you know, I mean the soldier, you know, the Vietnamese soldier, you know, the bộ đội, they assault our boat with their AK-47. They jump in and they say in Vietnamese, those who move, I will shot in the head. Okay, thằng nào mà nhảy là tao bắn nát sọ. thằng nào nó nói thằng nào mà nhảy tao bắn nát sọ.
They came onto your
Yeah, they came to the boat. They jumped in the boat with their gun, and they hijacked the captain. They hijacked everything, you know, and they hijacked the boat and they cut the cord because we are linked to the supply boat with a cord, you know. So they escort us. They cut the boat and they hijacked us on the high sea. It happened on the high sea. Very frightening, you know. And after that, you know, the other boat try also to intimidate, you know, and sometimes they come very, very close, you know. I remember, you know, one boat, you know, the nose of the boat is so close to our boat, you know, that the lady, you know, who sat out there, she cried because she thought that it's going to hit her, you know. And then, you know, for almost two days at sea, you know, they was wrestling with the two supply boat, because in the supply boat they film, they have the camera and they film everything. They film what had happened, and they call back to the mother boat, the friend boat, and they send helicopter to see what happened. And also the communist Vietnam, they send out a helicopter to see what happened. And they just cannot, you know, I mean, they just cannot imagine how, you know, the communist Vietnam, so I mean, they just sign, you know, an accord, you know, an agreement, you know, to, okay, let you buy a boat and transfer it. Now, you know, they just come back and, you know, and they just betray everything they just sign. That's typically communist, you know. That's typically, you know, and so they the communists, when they hijack our boats and they bring us back, you know, to the south, to the delta, to the Mekong delta, and the two supply boats follow us until the I mean the gunboat, you know, of the government, they track us to the river, and at that time they cannot follow anymore, so they have to leave us there, you know, the two supply boat leave us there, and then for us the so we were remote, we were tower, you know, to back to Mỹ Tho, you know, and at Mỹ Tho, you know. They separate us because on our boat there's two groups. There's one group, you know, we call that the group of 63 people who were rescued 3 days before us, and they were they was, we call that, they were illegal because they did not pay gold for them, you know, for the government. So they're on their own, you know, and our group is the group who pay gold to the government. So they separate the two groups. The group that's 63, they put them in jail, and first they put them in jail also, but another kind of jail. So they put us in the jail, you know, women aside, women with children aside, and men aside in Mỹ Tho. For, I mean, we stay there for 1 week for the women and children, and 2 weeks for the men. Okay, and after that they brought us back to Long An. Long An is not far, you know. Long An and it was in the summer, so they use an old school and they transform to a prison. And you know, and they were processed to the school, and not far from the place, you know, when I told you that we arrived in the middle of the night and we just put our luggage on the side road. Well, it's not far. The school is not far from there. It's, you know, it's just a couple hundred of meters, you know. And you know, we just saw, you know, the lady who helped us, you know, when we arrived there to find the boat, you know, before we leave, and you know, and we told her that we lost our, you know, two children, you know. It's very sad. And we were put there, you know, and 1 week later, the men come to they brought them to the same place. So we were kept there in prison with the armed guard. And so we stayed there. We didn't know what to do, you know, and it seemed that the government, they didn't know what to do with us. And we tried to get out. We tried to get back home, but they didn't allow us to go home. You have to stay here. And after we stayed there in the July until in August, we stayed there for me a month, 5-6 weeks. And then one day, I remember one day, we were sitting there, and we have received a visit from our family from Saigon. One of my aunt, the sister of my mom, she come to visit us. And then I remember La Đà car, if you were in Vietnam before, sometimes the La Đà. It's a car, fabric produced by the South Vietnamese, La Đà car with 4 or 5 men on board, and they drove in, and they begin to call people name, and by their real name, because a lot of Vietnamese people, they have their name Chinese, and they begin to call them by their real name. We were surprised, because what happened is that while we were still on the boat, while on the natural boat, before we left, we were transferred to the VT 999. The captain of the boat, he took the name of everyone, and he put on the list the name of everyone. So, and then they come in and say on the name and on us, is that true that you did that name? You that yeah. Okay, say okay, correct. So we are going to send you back to the country, to Germany. we just could believe our ears. We just asked them, "Are you kidding me? Are you kidding us?" No. We're going to send you back to Germany. Okay, and I still remember that day, and on the atmosphere, for the past 2-3 months, since we began our journey, in June 16 until now, we are desperate, we are mourning, grieving, our relative, and we didn't know what are our future. And certainly on that day, we have the high hope, it's unbelievable. And okay, so just wait here, and then in the next few weeks, we are preparing the document for you to leave. And then, after that, at that time in September, at the end of August and September, so we have to free the school for the student to come back, and they transfer us to another camp, just not far from the place from Bến Lức. That is where we left when we board the boat, and A9127 is at Bến Lức. Bến Lức is not far from Long An, and they transfer to a kind of camp, not far from there, waiting for our departure. And then after that, they come back and they say, okay, you have your passport to leave the country, and we have to separate your group into 2 groups. One group is going for West Germany, and the other group is going for Holland. And we were part of the group for Holland. And the group that left for Germany, they left a week before us, and then we left after, and we left Vietnam on September 11, 1979. And at that time, we remember, the police, they came to escort us, they we have I think 4 or 5 buses. So we are a group of maybe 125, 129 people, and let's say 4 or 5 buses, and they escort us to Tân Sơn Nhất, and then we board, the plane from Hàng không Việt Nam, from Tân Sơn Nhất to Bangkok in Thailand, and from Bangkok in Thailand we take the Air France from Bangkok to Paris, and then from Paris we take the Paris to Amsterdam, and then we arrive at September 12. And what happened later is that they told us later, you know, a couple of months later, when Captain Phuc he comes and said, "Oh, we, I mean, when it happened to you, you know, we are very upset, you know, and upset of the attitude, you know, of the betray, you know, and of the disloyal of the communist government. And then we send our your file to our government. And at that time, you know, the Mr. Schmidt, Helmut Schmidt, he's the Chancellor of West Germany, and he said we want to cut on the funding and on the aid to the Vietnamese government, okay. And also he asked, you know, for the Iranian community to cut on the tie with the Vietnamese government. And for the Dutch government, because they have, you know, they were one of the first government who reestablished the relation with the communist government in Vietnam. So they sent diplomats, you know, to negotiate with the government of Vietnam. Okay, they say, okay, look, I mean, those people were saved and you will agree. I mean, we still have your agreement. You signed for it. You asked us to pay 300,000 Dutch mark to buy a boat, and we did the same. But then you violate your accord, and then you intimidate us. You know, by gunshot, you know, by gunboat, and you block the boat. You know, you almost sink the boat. You know, it's not correct of your part. You know, you have to respect, because if you don't, you will lose a lot. You will lose on the aid from the European country. You will lose, you know, on the diplomatic relation. And we have to talk, you know, to the United Nations also. Okay, and so I mean, think about that. And after that, you know, okay, so they see that, you know, they have a lot of things to lose, you know, and nothing to let us go, you know, anyway, because they take the money from us, you know, and what happened also is that because there's a miscommunication between, you know, inside the communist government. I mean, the Navy, they don't know what the Minister of Interior do at all, you know, and the police of the sea, you know, they are each branch and they don't talk to each other. So they do what they see. So I mean, they do what they see fit. I mean, they don't ask, is that correct or not? You know, I mean, each department has its own rule, and so that's because of that, you know. So the Navy, the police of the sea want to seize us, you know, and then to bring us back, to imprison us. The Minister of Interior, hey, you don't have to do that, because those people are Chinese people, and also, you know, they pay us, you know, let them go. But after that, they had to let us go. But it was a diplomat incident, because I remember our friends in Vietnam, they say even in the newspaper, the official newspaper of the Communist Party, Nhân Dân, and they even, you know, they write an article around that. And say, I mean, you have no right to save people in the water of Vietnam, you know, without the permission of the government, something like that, you know. But it was a diplomatic incident, you know. And but at the end, you know, we prevailed. And for the 63 people, the other group, the communist want to prevent them to leave, and they have to wait 10 years. The 63, they have to wait from 79 to 89 to succeed, you know, to go to Holland. And now they were on there. I mean, the Holland government was very good, you know. They intervened and they never let us down. You know, they very consistent, and they, you know, and the communist government, they say, oh, they move those people, we don't have their interest, and they try to everything, you know, to prevent, you know, to those people to get out from Vietnam. But that's it. But at the end, we prevail. And I remember, you know, the day of September 1179, you know, we bought the plane, you know. I was the first, because we are the first on the list. I was the first to board the plane, you know, and the stewardess, you know, stewardess from Hong Kong, Vietnam, say, and we asked her, oh, are you going to fly with us, accompany us to Holland? Or she said, "Oh, I'm not lucky as you are." So yeah, we bought the plane, and very excited at that day, and for a long time, for many months, we finally we laughed, each other, but we still don't forget, our relative, who we lost behind. And during the first day, we arrived in Holland, in Heemskerk, and we were welcomed, very warm welcome by the Dutch people. Dutch people very kind, and it's a sharp contrast, from what we live in Vietnam. It's incomprehensible. We live in Vietnam, we live among our compatriots, and we were mistreated by our compatriots. We were rejected by our compatriots, I mean, and when we went to Holland, Dutch people, they welcome with open arm, and they are there. They tried everything, to make us comfortable, make sure that we have a good start, and that we are happy there. And the month, the 9 months, when we live they convert an own hospital into just a camp for us, very comfortable, and they for 9 months that they teach us how to speak Dutch, and also they organize once a week a trip, around Holland to see the country, to know about the culture of Holland. Very, very nice people. And we also have sponsor, we conduct a cascazine it's mean the family sponsor. And we have each family, we have one family. And we came, once every 2 weeks, we came and speak with them and spend, the evening with them, so we can learn about the custom of Dutch people, about the culture of Dutch people. And yeah, it's very, very happy, time. And I thought at that time we're going to establish for good in Holland. But after a couple of months, and my mom, she get in contact with my grandma, because so my grandmother, she left on a different trip. With my aunt, and she was she arrived in Malaysia, and then she was accepted by Canada to be a refugee. So she was accepted in Canada, and she came here with one of my aunt to Quebec, and then by interview of one of my grand aunt in India, because we have one grand aunt in India. So we say to each other, if we lost contact, so we will send a letter, our coordination, our location, or our address to our grand aunt in India, and she will make contact for us. She will put us in contact with each other, and then we received a letter from grand aunt from India that said, okay. My grandmom is in Canada now, in Van Dor right now. So, and then my mom began to write letters, to correspond with my grandmom. And then my grandmom asked, okay, come with me, because you lost your 2 children, and sad, so why don't come with me, so we can be united as a family, And then we decided to, at that time, to ask for immigration to Canada, and then we write to the embassy of Canada in Den Haag, The Hague, and then we were interviewed, and we were accepted at that time, accepted because at that time in 79 it's 80, it's still not as easy as now, because at that time it's still restricted. And we came, we explained, to the ambassador of Canada in La Haye, our situation, and then okay, good, we grant you, to the immigration, to Canada, and that we have our permission to get that. And my mom, my grandmom, she stay in Quebec in Van Dor, so we asked to be united with her.
they gave you that permission right away?
I mean, we had to interview first, and they asked a couple of questions. How much money we have, what kind of profession, my father do, and ask our situation also. And after that, after we have to fill, a couple of forms, and we have to correspond maybe 3 or 4 times before they study, and then they convert us for interview. And then after the interview, they said, okay, you have your visa, and then they hand us the visa right away.
On the same day?
Yeah, on the same day. So we have the visa, and then after that we organize the day, for our departure.
And this is the grandmother that you said goodbye to before you.
No, I think at that time it's the grandmother of my father. But from my mom, she already left. She already left, for the Bali because she went back there to prepare for her trip for leave for Vietnam. Yeah, and then we planned a day, on the December 16, 1980. We left Holland. It was a sad day, as we were so happy when we left Vietnam on September 11, 1 year ago. As much as we sat, and our friend, our Dutch friend, they came with us. They came with us to the Schiphol airport, and then they say goodbye to us, and we cry, we really cry, because we were so sad, because they were very, very good friend. Very helpful friend, and still now we have contact with them, and when I came back to Holland in later, I came to see them, I have photo with me, and then when we left on December 16, we arrived at the Mir Rapel Airport. At that time we still have Mir Rapel Dock at the end of December 16, and because the flight were delayed, so we missed our flight from Doc Van to Van Dor. So we have to stay one night at Doc Van Airport, and then the next day we take the Nok there. At that time the Nok there company still exists, but now I think they were bankrupt, and not more. But in early in the morning of December 17, we take our flight from Doc Van there and to arrive Van Dor. And in Holland, it's a very moderate country, and so and they have a winter, but quite a little bit winter, a kind of still warm winter. We arrived in Doc Van, it was called, and when I remember we were on plane, and I heard the pilot announce, okay, fasten your seatbelt because we are going to land soon in Van Dor. And I looked outside the window. I said, where's Van Dor? All I saw that time is 2 colors, white and green. White is the snow and green is the pine, the tree. Where's Van Dor? And even when the plane landed, touched the ground, I still don't see the city, And so we came out, my grandmom and my grandma waiting for us, and it's a happy reunion, because of, and I mean for a while we did see each other, and then we come, now we were here, but we miss, my sister and my brother. And when we came outside, I think it's almost minus 30 in Van Dor at that day. Very, very cold.
This is still September though?
No, in December. December 17 is not, I mean, just before Christmas. And, I remember it's so cold, because I in a running show, from Holland, because of running show. And we have only light cold, and it's so cold. I mean, it's like I have never felt the coldness, in my life, on that day, December 17. And it was a shock for us, because in Holland, it's still more there, and it's a big city. Now we came to Van Dor. It's so small city. I mean, it was only 25,000 people at that time, and So I mean, it takes us a couple of days, you know, to acclimate to acclimate to the coldness of Canada. And but you know, but the at that time the people in Van Dor are very nice. You know, my grandmom, she has sponsor. You know, she has family sponsor, and then she come to bring us. You know. Cover, you should bring us, you know, clothes, you know, warm clothes, and also, you know, the some chauffage. I mean, the heating, you know, that's we need. And then, you know, from and then, you know, and then well, they asked me where I went to school, you know, because in Holland I begin my secondary. So now I have to, we are in the December, so we are in the middle of the year, of school year. So she said, okay, you have to learn French first because you don't speak French. So I mean, for this year, you know, we just, for the 6 months, we just put you in a primary school for you to learn French. And then after that, we will send you, you know, maybe to go back to the secondary. And we went to the commission scolaire in Van Dor, and there we meet Madame Cote. Madame Cote, she worked for the commission scolaire, and I passed the test, you know, to see the level of the education, and then with my father, and then she asked us about our juvenile history, you know, and then we tell her about our history and how we did come here, you know. You know, she was touched, you know, and then after we left the commission scolaire, and then she write a letter to the teacher on her friends, say about the student of my family, and to say, okay, if you have someone to help the people, and you have any own furniture, you know, any own clothes, or you would contribute financially, you would be okay, you know. And with that letter, you know, a lot of people, a lot of teachers, they give us, you know, furniture, they got clothes, some give us money. And when we find a rented house, you know, then with that we have almost everything we need. So very, you know, graceful, very generous from the people of Van Dor, Quebec, you know, and we feel like at home, you know, and we are very grateful, you know, to the people of Quebec and Van Dor especially, and you know, and with that, you know, we feel very at ease, you know, and it takes us not long, I mean, maybe less than 2 years, and we feel at home. It's at home in Van Dor, you know, and I begin to go to the secondary school, and then after that we go to first year high school, second year high school, and then but a lot of good friends on my friend Quebec, because in Van Dor there's no much Vietnamese or Asian people, and we stay there, very successful, you know, and my father find a job, you know, and then after that he opened, you know, a clinic, because he was a doctor, but also he have a knowledge on kinesiotherapy and acupuncture. So he opened a clinic and very successful and help a lot of people. My mom, she before we leave we left and we went to Saigon. My mom, she has a hair dress. We have a hairdresser boutique, you know, a hair shop boutique, and she dresses. So she follow a course, you know, to learn how to hairdress, and then she opened also a hair shop, you know, for people, and then we work there, and in my we work on the same house. And my father work, you know, to give care, you know, kinesiotherapy care and acupuncture care, and my mom worked, you know, to cut hair, you know, and dress hair.
You worked out of your own home?
Yeah, bought a home. Yeah, after that, when we bought a home, you know, when we have
And yeah, and the home we will still have now. We bought a house. Maybe 2 years old in 82, something like that, 283, and so we still have the house.
So you bought a home about 2 years after you got
Yeah, 2 or 3 years after. Yeah, yeah. I think it's maybe 3 years. 3 years after that, because when we begin to work, and then we get and at that time in Van Dor the house is not expensive. It's a house $40,000 a house, in Van Dor, and at that time in 1980, so. We have a grant from the bank, and a mortgage from the bank, and it's very good, and very interesting, we before we came to Canada, we didn't even know where Van Dor was, Van Dor is small town. I remember when we were in the embassy of Canada in La Haye, when we asked the ambassador, because we have the ambassador from Canada, and then after we have to see the representative from Quebec, because they have to supervise them. And I asked the gentleman, from Quebec, and say, where's Van Dor? He didn't even know where's Van Dor. He had to take out a map, and he looked on, the corner and see Van Dor. And Van Dor is not easy, it's rolling around that, and he said, okay, and he showed up on the map. This is Van Dor, And the reason why my grandmom, land in Van Dor, because at that time that's where a gentleman who worked for the government, and he had idea, a brilliant idea that how if we try to integrate the immigrant outside the center, outside Montreal, outside Toronto, outside the big urban center. How if we try to, if we have a pilot project to send, the refugee immigrant to a remote country, and to see how they adapt, they integrate to that region. And my mom, she was chosen to go there, and that's why we landed there. But after, 3 or 4 years, the 70 people from the group who they sent to Van Dor to integrate, they all returned to Montreal, Toronto. No one left. Even my aunt and my grandma, once my aunt, she wanted to go to Montreal, so they left. Even with my grandmom, because my aunt wanted to left with my aunt, and we were the only Vietnamese family in Van Dor at that time. We were not supposed to stay there, but we were the one who stayed there the longest, and my parents still stay there, And in school at that time, I was the only almost only Asian guy, in the school, But it's very good. My key best friend, very friendly. I feel, well accepted and well supported. Teacher, friends, director, they all help me out, and also because at that time I perform well also, because Vietnamese people, we have a tradition of, to be, a good student, and we are, we are very serious, studying. So I got a very good mark, and at the end of the high school, the 5-year school, I graduated the top student of the school, and yeah, I got top student, and I have the prize for that, and I do a lot of activity there, and even I won a TV quiz, because at that time we have a quiz, just like Reach for the Top, the quiz, or we ask the question and we answer. A regional quiz, for the history of the geography of the region of Abitibi, and that we compete for all the high school in our region of the 4 or 5, the 5 high school I mean, yeah, Van Dor, Roy, Amos, Lhasa, even though 5 high school compete, and I represent my high school, and we won, we won the champion of that tournament. Very, very happy time in Van Dor, and I still miss, Van Dor, and we spent now, almost 39 years in Van Dor, and actually Van Dor is the city where I spend the most time of my life. I have never been a city in my life where I spend so much time. In Vietnam I spend 1 year there, 1 year there, 1 year there, because my father he worked for, he was in the force of police of Vietnam, and so he moved 2 years in Cần Thơ, and then we moved to Cà Mau, Bạc Liêu. So at last we in Cà Mau, and in Cà Mau that's happened during the April 75, and at that time, because of my father, he was promoted to the chief commander-in-chief of police force on Cà Mau. So he's one of the 3. With the mayor of Cà Mau is the 2 most important people at that time, And we were there, but we spent only 1 or 2 years. But in Van Dor, I spent more than 30 years there. So I consider Van Dor is just my hometown. In Vietnam we say we have an expression nơi chôn nhau cắt rúng. The place where we cut our umbilical cord and we bury our placenta. And I always consider Van Dor is that place, because in Van Dor we find peace. In Van Dor I really find peacefulness and happiness, and also that I have a lot of success, not only as a school student, but when I become doctor, I went to Sherbrooke to study medicine, and after that I returned immediately to Van Dor, and I practiced there, for now I in my 24 years of practice there, and very successful career, very well accepted by my colleague and my patient, well known there, and even in my hospital I become the chief of staff, of the Van Dor hospital, take charge of all the doctor there, and I took on position, administration position. I already took that, so yeah, very, very happy, very successful career, before we decide to move to Ottawa, Gatineau region, and just because of my children, my 2 children, and also because my wife, because she was from California, and she meets, she miss the grand, the big city, and she miss her friends, and also for family, so we leave Van Dor, we left Van Dor, for Ottawa region, but I still, keep contact with Van Dor. That's why, I still come back to Van Dor to do my shift in hospital, to see my parents first, and also to see friends, and just keep in close touch with the people of Van Dor, because I owe them a lot, they help me so much. People in Canada and Quebec, people in Holland, and in general, they help us a lot, and I owe them, and we always be grateful to the people, for the rest of my life, when we were persecuted, when we were harassed, when we had no hope at all, when our life were in danger. There was the German people, the Dutch people, they were there to help us out and save us, save our life from hell. And literally, it was hell in Vietnam, was hell, and bring us to the shore of freedom. And after that, when I come to Canada, and again, the people of Canada, people of Quebec, and especially in Van Dor, they welcome us, and I will never feel any discrimination, nothing at all, you know. Very friendly, very humanitarian, and make us feel at ease, you know. And you know, we were happy, and at the same time we were sad because when I think about our countrymen, you know, our fellow countrymen, and then we have to flee our country. We have to. I mean, they try to murder us. They try to persecute us. For what? For what reason? Just because of different ideology. Because we were at the wrong side, you know. Just because they are the victorious people, and then they want to prove their victory. They want to prove their powers, and they have to persecute us, you know, steal us, murder us, you know. It's very sad, you know, and so we have to quest. We have to beg, you know, the humanity from another people, another race, another nation. It's a shame on us, you know, Vietnamese people. Shame on us for that. That's how we treat. I mean, we always say that we are in the same earth, you know. Một mẹ trăm con, and we even have an expression đồng bào. It means we are at the same. I mean the same womb. But we don't treat like đồng bào. We don't trust us, you know, that people with the same womb, the same mother. I mean, we just like, you know, like the worst enemy. We have to go to make the part. I mean the grace, and you have to beg, you know, the freedom. We have to beg life from another country. Sad, very sad, you know. As you know, as when we think of that, you know, as I so grateful, you know, to Canadian people, to the people of Quebec, you know, people of Germany, of Dutch, you know, and I'm so shameful, you know, of us when I think about that. Yeah, I think that the thing is that I just want to thank, you know, the people of as I say many times, just thank the people of Van Dor, the city that I always consider as my birthplace, at my hometown, and the people of Quebec and people of Canada. You know, Canada is one of the best country of the world, and for me, it's the best country in the world, and. Very lucky, you know, very happy, you know, to live in a country like this. And the only thing, you know, when I see now when we talk about Vietnamese, we cannot mention, you know, the crisis of refugee people. But what I learned, you know, when I come here, you know, and I begin to study the history of Vietnam War and history of, you know, of the 20th century of the country, to understand, you know, what happened to our people, our country, why I am landed here, you know, why it happened to us, and also to see what happened, you know, in this time, you know, Syrian refugee people, and on the refugee people. And, you know, the lesson I learned is that I want to say to, you know, as I love Canada and as I love, you know, the Western country, but I also have the message to the other country. When you talk about refugee, first, don't create refugee. If we don't have to go to war, don't go to war, okay? Southeast Asia is, you know, is an example of that, you know. I mean, the U.S., they create, a war. I mean, the Vietnamese were based on a lie, you know, with the incident of Tonkin. It was a lie to a fire pretext to go to Vietnam. The same as the war in Iraq, it was based on a lie, you know, of the destructive, the mass destruction weapon. the Syrian war based on lies, and when the Western country attacked the country like Libya and killed their leader Gaddafi and Saddam Hussein, and now they make war in Syria and other country. What happened is that they create chaos and they create refugee. I mean, we all agree that those leaders are not perfect, but I mean it's better than what they live now. I mean the Western country, U.S. And Canada also participated in those wars, in the second war of Iraq, in the Syria, in Libya, and we went there under pretext of bringing democracy or freedom to those countries, but we create chaos, and the situation of Iraq, of Libya, of Syria now is much worse than before, and then of that refugee, they try to flee the country, and then now we have to deal with that. We have to take them in. We take them in good, but at first place, if we were careful, if we didn't provoke the war, so we don't have to deal with that problem. I mean, as a Vietnamese, and I think it's the same thing, for everyone on earth. We all want, to be born in our country, to grow up, and in our own country, to work there and to contribute, and to make our country a better place for our children. And eventually, we want to die in our home country, in our fatherland. That's the wish of on people, and also my wish. We all wish that, because even if we still remember our home country. I mean, it's unless we were forced, people they don't want to leave the country, leave family behind, and go to live in another country. I mean, so that we must favor that, and we must stop to creating war. We must stop to fund the selling arms, to the country, and provoke that, because all we do is create more refugee, more the problem, and then we have a big problem to deal with that we don't have to deal with. The example of Vietnam is the same thing. I mean, if the U.S., they respect their engagement. I mean, when they forced the South Vietnamese to sign the Paris Accord, the Treaty of Paris Accord with the North Vietnamese to make a ceasefire, and they say that they will protect South Vietnamese if the North Vietnamese invade, if they transgress the Paris Accord. But the U.S. never respect their engagement. They never implement the Paris Accord, and they just betray the South Vietnamese people. They let the Vietnamese people fight alone, and they cut on the aid to the South Vietnamese people. And when the North Vietnamese invade, they didn't do anything. They just let it happen, okay? And then the South Vietnamese fought, and with all the refugee, all the persecution, it would happen if the U.S. respect their engagement as they respect for the South Korea, all the place in the world. That's the betrayal. That is the non-respect of the agreement. And I think that's the lesson that we have to learn. I mean, don't create war. Don't intervene. Don't try to impose your vision of democracy or freedom anyway onto a nation of people, and just make it worse. And after you make it worse, you just withdraw, and then you have to deal with or create more refugee and more problem. And Vietnamese is the same thing. And also, I mean, the U.S. the U.S. when they withdraw, and they could have negotiate a deal with that, and with their own party, with the Northern communists, so that they don't persecute, when they invade the South Vietnamese, they persecute on those who work for the U.S., for the Republic of Vietnam. I mean, French people, they were more prevoyant than the U.S. when they withdraw. They withdraw with them on those who works for them, and nobody, was imprisoned. Nobody was persecuted by the communists from North Vietnam, you know, not the same of the U.S. And that's the lesson, you know. I just want to say to the Western country, you know, don't create war. Okay, you talk about refugee, talk to take care of refugee, but at the first place, if we don't make war, you don't have a refugee, and everybody lives happily in their own country, and that's the best thing. And Vietnamese people is an example of that. You know, it's a lesson that we learn with tears and with blood, and that's also is, you know, is for us and to learn about that. You know, learn to, as I say, you know, why Vietnamese people, we have to fight each other. If we are Đồng Bào, we are in the same one. Why we fight like the worst enemy? Vietnamese people, why we cannot talk to each other? You know, why we can fight this together? Why we always have to ask for a foreign intervention? You know, to help us out. Why is that? Big problem, you know, big problem with the Vietnamese. As now, you know, the as I say from the beginning, you know, the communists, the North Vietnam, they had a very good chance to reconcile with the whole country when they won the war in '75. That's a good fight. And even now, you know, they still have a chance, but they didn't do it. They talk about, you know, hòa hợp hòa giải, but it's a fate. The only thing why they want is to subdue, control, you know, the community of Vietnamese outside the country, and submit them to the communist rule. That is their goal. They are not interested in, you know, in reconciliation at all. You know, when you reconcile with other people, you must put, you know, people on equal with you, on this equal, and you have to talk one to one, and equal, not you are high and, you know, I am the winner, you are the loser, you are this, you are that, you know, and, you know, you just convert to it. That's not the reconciliation. It's a subdue. It's quite tied to submit them to the. Yeah, that's the thing, you know. So, Western country, don't impose your vision in other country and don't start war. You know? And we never have to start a war. We can do by other peaceful thing, and with that, you know, you don't have a refugee to deal with. And for us Vietnamese people, behavior like Đồng Bào, like people from the same world, and trust each other. If we want to move our country out of misery, out of, you know, that gridlock, and if we want to build a better country for our children, we have to start by ourselves, you know, and treat our compatriots with respect, you know, and honesty.
Thank you very much. Thank you for sharing your very moving story.
I hope, you know, that would help you, you know, and help you, you know, the people on the project, you know, to have a better view on, you know, this a sad chapter of history. And for Vietnamese people, it's the first time in our history, history of almost 5,000 years, that we have an exodus of people, you know, outside of country, you know, at this magnitude, you know, because we only have people go in, go out, you know, but it's this a magnitude that we have even an import people, you know, for that that even history, even, you know, it's a sad history, you know, but it's also a powerful history, you know, and we can learn a lot from that experience, and also our children. They have to learn because it's part of our identity, you know, because now when we talk about Vietnamese, we can never forget that Vietnamese people went through a painful experience. We were the boat people, and it has never been in history and will never happen. I not explain like that again. So yeah, this is the chapter that we never forget. And one day, I hope when the country, if we can find peace again and we are really reconciliate, that we have a museum, we have a dedicate to the poor people, so where we can store on the story, as my story, and I know there's a lot of story, very painful story, very also heroic story, of poor people during all those years. So we have a museum, with on the archive, on the photo, on the artifact, on the board, and so we can remember, and we can put them, into the identity of the Vietnamese people to be our heritage, and that our children, when they look back, they will be proud. They know where they come from. They know the sacrifice that their parents, their grandparents, had done, to bring them here, and also maybe to save the country, because the country, was totally under the communist regime, and it was the people, our people, who fled the country, risking our life. I mean, in our case, we are almost 260 people, and it's more than 100 people die. So it's almost 100 people die, and so that is the sacrifice way. And we bring with them not only our family, but also the culture and the value of the Vietnamese, the real Vietnamese, before the communists invade. The value, of our ancestors, the value of Confucius, that so present in the Vietnamese family, and also the music of the Vietnam before '75, on the bolero music that we Cải Lương, on those stuff, the culture we brought with us. Because on those stuff, they were almost destroyed by the communists. When I remember during this, from the first year, they want to destroy all the vestige of the South Vietnamese, all the music, bolero. It was forbidden. If you sang a song, from the own fashion, for the own government, own regime, they put in jail. So, I mean, we have to sing, the revolutionary song, and the same thing, when we do anything to relate to the culture, we can be put in jail. So when we fed with us, we brought with us on this culture, we protect for the next generation. That's it. I mean, that's the important and the signification, of our journey and our sacrifice.
Thank you very much.
Welcome.
Can you tell me about your photos that you have there?
Yeah, I have some photo here. I think this is the a monument, a souvenir monument that the people of Holland they built for us, because they know what happened to us, and so they build, and they put in the cemetery of the city of Heemskerk. And it's written, in Vietnamese and also in Holland. And we say here, bia tưởng niệm, it's a souvenir monument. And on this monument, they say that the exact location of the site where the tragedy happened. I mean, the exact location of the natural boat, and our boat at that moment. And say that we all remember our relative, our loved one, who lost their lives there. And every time I came to Holland, it's a must stop, where I always pass by, and commemorate, to my sister, my brother, and also, more than 100 people, who lost their lives during the trip for freedom. And this is the photo of my parents. They stand up before the monument when we returned to Holland. And yeah. And this is when we talk about the sponsor in Holland, you know, and I have the sponsor family. This is one of them, you know, when I came back and I have dinner with them. So very, very, very nice people, you know, and yes, very grateful to them, you know. There's also one other family, you know, one family, and I think that one of family photo. Yeah, because this one I have to show. And this is the.
Anh nói lại từ đầu. There's also anh nói lại từ đầu cái câu Việt Nam.
Okay, and this is on the photo, you know, that I would like to show. This is when I just after we arrived to Holland, you know, me as the very young boy at that time, and we spent time at our family of sponsor. We got that Kaskazin in Dutch, and this is a town Delta. She passed away now. Taco and Frit, you know, and this is my mom, my father there, and I play a game with Taco, you know. And you know, it's very happy time, you know, very happy time that time, you know, after what we had endured before, you know, it's kind of a bomb, you know, on our wounded, you know, and finally we can have a rest.
You were about 13 or 14?
Yeah, I think 12 years, 12, 13 years old at that time, 13 years old, yeah. And also when we talk about the Dutch people. But here is in Quebec, you know, we have also a sponsor family. I mean, a non-official sponsor, you know, Madame Côté here and her husband. That's when, you know, when I told you that I went to the Commission Scolaire to pass a test, and she asked us about our story. And after that, you know, she began a fund collect, you know, and she wrote a letter to on her colleague, you know, in the teacher. And then they bring on furniture. They give us money, you know, to help us for our first period. I mean, for our beginning in Van Dor, you know. And then when she invited us to her chalet cottage near the Van Dor, and then I see me, my parents, and Madame Côté and Monsieur Côté. So I'm also very grateful she passed away now, and they all passed away. But you know, and after that, you know, when I become a doctor, actually she became my patient, you know, and take care of her until she passed away. Yeah, I'm very grateful to those people. And this is the photo, you know, when I graduate, you know, when I obtained my MD degree at Sherbrooke, me, my mom, and my father. So this during 1992. You know, during the graduation ceremony. This is my diploma. Yeah, that's it. So that's it, and yeah, that's the